To conduct the session today for a three-day faculty development program. For the Krishnamurthi's session entitled Multilingual NLP and Linguistic Challenges in Indian Context, promises to be insightful and informative, drawing from a distinct expertise in communication linguistics and machine translation. Madam's research is in Telugu, Tamil machine translation, explores the deep understanding of linguistic identities, making her an invaluable resource in the field. We look forward to an engaging session and giving valuable insights from Madam. Please join us in welcoming Madam to today's session. I request Suparna Madam to welcome Madam. I now request Madam to take over the session. Hope all of you had a nice few days of sessions. Will you have your lunch? Okay. I'm being serious. No, okay. So I think most of them are yeah. So we are having incident. I was it another one. So most of my friends I have talked about challenges that we face, and we are proud and a good background on how the NLP and the state of the art, what kind of issues, challenges that are happening in research, right? So today my talk is on about multilingual NLP and kind of some kind of linguistic challenges, which is not being taken more seriously by different NLP researchers because what style in most of the academic is it is something happened in testing work. There is some model is being released, is there in Olympians, is there in Tanner. Okay, let me go get it. Do it for our languages. Right? So that's the kind of style we are doing it. But I really want to kind of focus on how the linguistic divergence and convergence that are there in Indian languages. When we are adapting some of the models from different kind of sources, how do we need to adapt it in such a way that it will be fine-tuned for our languages, right? Without much losing the actual essence of our languages, right? You know, right? Each language is different. Indian is different from Telugu, Telugu is different from Hindi. All of us know about the fact, right? But why do I need to take the English model and try to put it in for the languages like Telugu, which has a different pattern and complexities, right? So that's what I'm going to think about it. A bit here and there, taking some applications. Of course, I work with machine translation lead, like we are working on all Indian languages, maybe specifically in our demo on how to speech to speech. Country works, we are a part of doing the grammar. Okay. Let's start with the very big theoretical concept of what is multilingual. How many of you know in this room with that one language? I think all of you. Most of you are bilinguals. How many of you know more than two languages? So, everything is things that you learn in one class. Yes, linguistic and the same language. How many of you know four languages? Good. Huh? What is the next language you know? Pick up Kannada. Tamil. Kannada. Well, five languages. Communication, but everything communication we need languages, right? That's true. So multilingualism is something like the ability of societies, institutions, groups, and individuals to engage on a regular basis with more than one language in their day-to-day lives. I think most of you are bilinguals here, like an Indian context. We are rich bilinguals, of course. Anywhere we go, at least people know at least two languages, but it is not a fact of very remote villages. But most of us have the ability to speak with more than one language. So, what are the benefits of doing this work? Of course, career and advancements, cultural benefit, definitely cognitive benefit. There are many more. The true fact that people with multilingual polyglots live longer. But that's the kind of thing because you are trying to explore the different culture, different activities in different languages, right? Now, do we need to live in this multilingual situation? Next generation, let's say, uh, is this need to be continued or we want to withdraw from this multilingualism, go with one language kind of thing? We don't want, right? Because we are not the native speaker of a particular language, that's English. And of us are the native speakers. Right? We have the best identity with a particular language. Even if you speak, right, when you produce something in languages like English, you are not rated on par with the English speakers. Most of the English speakers' writings will sell more than what we write. We still go and refer to the English writers than the Indian writers, right? So that means even if we change tomorrow one language formula, we are not going to be on par with any of the languages. So it's very important, the very important feeling that all of us should have that we should continue to use our own languages, right? So that's true. And of course, all of us know the fact that India has 20 scheduled languages, right? And English, Hindi, Telugu, Urdu, whatever languages that we know. And India has no national language. You are studied in that way. Please forget about it. India has only official languages. Okay. So of course. And it is called as a linguistic area, especially from the linguistic point of view. That's because we have almost four major language families. Indo-Aryan language family, which is spoken in the mainstream places of India. And we have Dravidian language family in Rajasthan, the southern part of India. And we have Tibeto-Burman language families, which is spoken mostly in the northeastern part of India and Austro-Asiatic language family, which are spoken mostly in Meghalaya and some kind of languages like Santali, Kokoro, and some other languages. Okay. Out of these four major language families, Indo-Aryan language family is the one which constitute more language speakers. Okay, then Dravidian, then Tibeto-Burman, Austro-Asiatic, and we do have some languages which are not under any language family. Okay, the languages like Gushok, this is spoken in Jammu, and we have languages like Bengali. Yeah, these languages are not part of any of the language families because they exhibit some kind of qualities which is not there in any of the language families. You know that the construction of family itself, of course, we are descendant of something, right? We have in a family, we have father, mother, grandmother, grandmother, and daughters, sisters, lot of things, right? So most of our languages have all this relation. Okay, we have sister languages, we have a mother language, we have one proto language, which is the common or the origin of a particular language family. From there, all the other branches are being branched out. So, why do we need to understand this correctly? Because when you are working with any NLP application, especially these days, multilingual, multimodal kind of application, there are some languages which share some kind of similar features. This is called as convergence. And some languages exhibit different kind of differences, cross-linguistic. This we call them as divergence. Okay. So using this concept, we call as India is mainly we call as a linguistic area because there are four major families with different features, but we do share a lot of features across languages. We have some kind of pan-Indian features. So we are coming from different kind of families of languages. Since people live together for a longer period of time, there is some kind of contact across languages and it results in some kind of convergence and there are still divergence among languages. Okay. And how is it going to help us in NLP? That's what I'm going to talk about it more. So the use of multilingualism is a very wide factor. You go anywhere, let's say just taken some pictures from airport. So let's say you go to any of the public places, you could see something is written in English, Hindi, like and Telugu and Urdu. That's because these four languages are the official languages of Tamil Nadu, right? Okay. So let's say you are going to a place called Ufal. Okay. So you will see the languages like Maitai, which is called Maithili kind of languages, and Hindi and English. So any of the major public places in India, you could see this kind of difference, knowing the fact that we are multilinguals. We need to get the information in multilingual. This is not the fact if you go to America or Australia or Europe or any other places, they only monolingual speakers are there. They are monolingual. So now, this is the problem because when you have multiple information embedded everywhere, processing ability or any model that you are working should have capability to tackle any kind of information that are there in the multilingual context. Okay, so I don't know whether this picture is very clear. As I just told you, some of the pictures which are shown in the light are the places where Hindi is being majorly spoken, right? So, almost around 48% of the people speaks India Hindi, and then from Bengali, then Marathi, then Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Urdu, Kannada, kind of. The distribution among all our languages are like that. Okay. Having said that, sorry, Hindi is the most spoken language. Is it true that Hindi is the most spoken language? I don't know whether this tree is again very clear. You know, Hindi is the name Sangala term given to multiple smaller languages. Okay, you see this whatever that are given here, some portion of languages which is not very clear in the slide. All these languages are called as okay, we have Bhojpuri, Braj, or not. There are multiple languages spoken in that belt are called under the name of Hindi. Okay, and when you come to the other languages in the Telugu spoken area, okay, we have Gondi, Kodi, or like there are Kui, Kumi, the multiple small number of language speakers which are all termed as Telugu. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we have only 22 languages. We have thousands of languages spoken in India. Okay, all around the world, there are almost around 6,000 to 7,000 languages. We are constitutes of thousands different language speakers. Okay, so there is something called People Survey of India, Linguistic Survey of India. Every 10 years, Indian government releases how many speakers are there, or how many languages are there in a particular region, like, how many languages people can speak about it. So you could see almost till today, some 700 plus languages are being reported in very official way, but we do have thousands of languages with ranging from 500 speakers to millions of speakers. So now the question is this low or low population languages where only a few language speakers are there. Do we need to work on them or do we just kill them so that they come to the mainland language? We have to, right? So this is a very social aspect that we need to be in when we are working on any NLP. Don't think that, okay, there is a data available for Hindi. Think about it, what kind of data you have. Is it a data which is spoken or written on a particular dialect of, okay? Let's say Telugu itself is, we have a lot of variety. Telangana, spoken Telugu, or other states spoken Telugu. And within that, we have Rayalaseema, etc., kind of differences, right? So now when you say Telugu, what Telugu are you talking about? Maybe we are talking about one standard thing, but there are too many varieties in the language. These varieties are what which makes the language unique. That we are understood. That's why two Telugu speakers you're coming from different areas, still have differences that I cannot understand your language. You are using a particular vocabulary which is not there in my vocabulary, right? So this kind of condition is still there. So the fact that the multilingualism is not about number of languages, 22, 700 plus. Every individual have a own way of generating languages, analyzing languages, the way we put together words, the way we try to talk about something, lot of variation. Right? When we have this kind of plurality across human being, when we are building a model, let's say one model translates from one language to another language. And let's say Mahabharata and Ramayana has been translated by number of people. We have multiple translations right now. Right? So now, even among this kind of typical translation, there are people who are not happy with the translation, they'll go for next translation. Let's see, tomorrow this kind of models are being taken over and we are mostly all of us are relying on sometimes Google Translate, go to Google Translate, go to GPT, get me the answer. We all try to do that one. It's the way the language is generated is not a plurality that is required is not there. It's like a monogramming everything in one direction, right? So this is the major problem that we need to address in the next few years. Right now, the models are ready. Right now, the techniques are ready. Only thing is some languages do not have data. Some languages do have some challenges. But on the top, the differences and the nuances that are there in languages, which are very unique to human being, are not being addressed. So we have a lot of such problems ahead of our time to think about it. Okay. Okay. So the most diverse Indian state is Nagaland. We will know where is Nagaland. Marathi state far. The most diverse place where multiple languages are spoken there. Sorry. Okay. I don't know where to point out. I'm just pointing out somewhere. Okay. And the least languages that are spoken in India is Kerala. Where Malayalam is spoken other than that other languages like some portion of Bengali, Telugu, Hindi, Konkani, Kannada, Telugu, and Tamil speakers are also there. Otherwise, all the Indian states have languages. I don't know. I still have a point of this thing. Okay. Then this session we will laptop. Yeah, I can go back. Yeah, waste. Waste. Yeah. No, read this one. You see, in Indo-Aryan family, what about four language families? Indo-Aryan, Dravidian, Tibeto-Burman, Austrasian. And you also family has number of languages. I don't know how many of you can identify some of the languages in India. Are you speaker of any of the languages given me? Okay, some of the names you might not even have heard of. Next slide. So Tibeto-Burman, very less speakers, but more languages. Okay, next. Dravidian, we have number of languages. Austrasiatic, we have number of languages. And there is Andamanese language, which is spoken by Andaman and Nicobar kind of islands. Okay, there are some tribal and other languages. Next. Okay. So I hope this might have given you a background of why do we think about multilinguality and about Indian language. Okay. So when it comes to NLP, rather it isn't just learning and language is involved and some kind of foundational techniques are involved and you try to put them out, right? Next. And the aim of this NLP thing is you have to produce softwares because in real time they are facing a lot of issues, especially because of multilingual context. The language barrier might be one of the reasons, right? I want to talk to somebody in my mother tongue, and that person should listen in their own language without having any gap in us. That's what we need. Why do we compel ourselves saying that okay, you have to learn another language only then you can communicate with someone else. Right? Only if you know English, you can talk to say post. You don't say English, you cannot do any of your studies. This is a major problem that we are dealing with. Okay? So language should not be an impediment for any other task. But we should very clear language is is something different from the knowledge. Just because you know how to speak in English doesn't mean that you are knowledgeable. And all of us should know it, right? And all like no English speaking in the regional college, regional children are much more equipped with a lot of things, but they may lack in one thing because of communication. Okay, people living in city, of course, they may acquire it. So it's easier for them to go for the next stage. So language is always a problematic case, either for education, business, or any kind of thing that we do in India. That's why we try to learn another language. But that itself takes a lot of training. So that may be one of the reasons why we cannot do well, right? So the kind of expectation from NLP is let's build some kind of tools that gives us a bridge so that you don't need to learn any language. It does some kind of task for the mind. Starting from speech, let's say I don't know how to write speech to text to let's say that tool should help me in converting my speech into the text. I don't know, let's say other language which is spoken in some of the parts of India. I want to communicate with the indigenous people. Let the machine helps me in doing the job. Right. So the kind of software that we need to build should solve the real time problem. Okay. It's not, it should not kill the language. Okay, but that's what most of the time things happen. But we should make sure that the language should not be killed because of technology. It should be enriched, evolved, and some more help so that like we are working with different people. And you know that again, language is one of the important feature of humankind, right? We have a lot of cognitive ability to understand the language and generate the language. So that's why natural language understanding is something different from natural language generation. Sometimes people are introvert, they just listen to you, they won't give you any reply. Some people are more extrovert, they won't even listen to you, they just keep talking. That's a different kind. Yeah, that's something we have all kind of different. So similarly, machine what it should do, it should mimic our human natural language understanding as well as language generation. So these are the two important features that we need to Natural language understanding tasks majorly done for the computer, whereas natural language generation is done by the computer. Okay. Next. And it is one of the revolutionary thing as long as the languages are concerned. And yeah, we all need smart machine. How many of you got smartwatches? Smartphones? How many of you have smartphones? How many of you have explored or have a chance of living in smart kitchen? We need everything smart. These days, everything I want is smart. Smart card. Automatic car. I will be smart. So this smart is something to do with humankind. But we want a smart machine. It functions like a human being in terms of language. Analysis and generation. That's what we try to do. Next. Okay. Okay. Again, I'm trying to put a little more so this language technology, this is a very new technique. Like other people might have got it 2000 plus years, 2000, 2001, right? Most of you who are when you have born might be knowing about computer, yeah, right? You might be knowing about TV, you might be knowing about some other gadgets. Something new that we are using that language in the technology. If you ask, there's something new. As long as the language is being used by the human being, every period of our lives, human lives, there is some kind of enhancement. Like when people started inventing languages, they started writing it in the caves. Or they write it in some kind of form in some way. There's something called uniform writing procedures. So that's kind of technology where they try to actually kind of report their information in some way. Then slowly, when humankind becomes very, little more civilized, a form of Christ, I don't understand that's basically everyone. Then comes slowly when people start inventing some kind of scripts for our language. That itself is technology. One thing that what we are doing in computer is technology. That is also technology that includes a lot of information how to build our grammars, lists especially. You know, like our Aksharamala, we have ABC, like English, we have we made up it, right? So properly arrange them in order, and so that we create some information in our language. Then comes publishing the information, then broadcasting them, display radio, television, these days internet, your WhatsApp, chat, anyway, right? Then internet technology is like a kind of revolutionary thing. When we started writing our information in the internet, like the blogs, websites, like the social media, whatnot. And now the buzzword, internet. Just a buzzword. Every time there is some kind of buzzword related to language. Okay. And of course, machine translation is the most bigger buzzword as long as NLP is concerned because that's where the two languages are being involved, right? Then these days, language model, large language models. I hope you might have explored of it. LLMs, right? So now the buzzword is multimodal multilingual. So we have, let's say, ChatGPT works really well, let's say for English, but is it really working well for your language? You think about no, right? So now what people are trying to do is what are works for multilingual for any language in a multimodal fashion. Either it is a image, video, it should process everything and do the action. Okay, so that's the next generation task we're focusing on. Next. So the major application you might have got speech to speech machine translations, speech translation machine translators, dialect translators, which is very important. None of us are talking about it. You can go to Google, it just gives you output in a standard correct. It's not giving us in the dialect of what you see. That's what we need. That's where a lot of your effort is required, like NLP researchers. Not just taking the data from somewhere published and do the model somewhere published. just point. That's not the research. Actual real-time problem that we have is, let's say you will produce, you will translate, or you need, let's say, electrical item or produce some output, but this output is not an acceptable output in your language. That's where the research problem lies. We have to think about how to make sure that it goes for our language. Right? And dialogue system, text summarization, intelligent search engines, right? You search in, let's say, tell you have to get information, whatever is written in French also, be translated and be able to intelligent agents, sentiment analysis, whatever it not. Okay. So now, speaking most of the NLP applications, especially whatever that I have listed out, are available. But is it available in multilingual, multimodal, and for each domain? For example, most machine translation models that are there are general purpose machine translations. It is not something to do with a particular domain. Let's say you are taking a particular article of health and putting it in the mail machine. If it could not produce the output as we expected, then it fails in the particular domain. Right? And all of us know that the languages spoken in or used in health domain is different from law, legal, or some other domain. So we have variety of uses of language, not only in the spoken, even in the written form. So too many domains, too many technical terms, too many different information written in a different way, different domains, right? So all these things are the actual research areas people are moving. Some of us in our labs also, we are trying to see how to adapt it particular model into particular domain so that it functions the accuracy of it as well as the general purpose. Very okay. And what are those challenges? Because of course we understand the problem set. We know that this is what I want to do. But what is the actual problem or challenge that we face when we work with this kind of area base? We know that languages are not designed by one single person, right? We know that it's been passed on to us over generations, right? We are trying to acquire it, use it, and we are trying to pass on to the next generation. Now, when we are building the models, this model should also have the capability. It's not that one day you build a model, it's done. There's no solution for NLP as long as the language lives for whatever years it is. When language evolves, NLP models are pushed all of us. Right? The best example, when the corona hit us, there are a lot of changes that has come in languages too. It's not only affected the human being, it affected the language too. It affected in the sense, maybe positive sense of adding too many new words that are not being used by the speakers. Now, all of us know what is corona, what is COVID, what are other symptoms. We know vaccination, the terms that are not being used by many people, like even in the Egyptian places, people started using those terms, started finding new words in their own language. That makes things like this up. It's very less. But any natural gift that we have that happen in human life, that's language. There is a direct correlation between what is happening in the real world with what we have in the language. That means the language model that we build should be ready to tackle all these things. That means whatever that we build today is not the end of the world. What is there in Google Translate or what is there in other translate, it is not the end of the world. You know, Google Translate started with statistical approach, they slowly gone into the machine learning. Now they are using the LLMs for their translation. So it evolves. How it evolves computationally, there is some advancement happening. Similarly, language-wise also, language is more creative, keeps changing. There's a lot of chance that new words, new sentences, new way of expressing things will keep coming in our languages. Similarly, whatever is being used are drifted away from our roots. So the like kind of addition, deletion is always there in our language. So the model that we build should be a kind of ready to tackle the actual social thing, how the human users it, right? And of course. Lots of changes, new words, new rules. And if I ask you how many tokens are there, you know what is the term of token? Tokenic languages, types token ratio, right? Okay. So you know that languages are mathematically. Language is nothing but it's a set of vocabulary. Okay, these are set of vocabulary. And if I ask you how many vocabulary you like know the list in your language, what is the minimum or maximum size of vocabulary in your language? 1,000? Very less. 10,000? Still less. 25,000? Doesn't look like it's enough for us to express everything. 1 lakh? Okay. Maybe. With 1 lakh word, we are able to express something. Any dictionary that you like, this is some like 1 lakh words maybe. Okay, this 1 lakh word, we say 1 lakh word constitute a language. Okay, this 1 lakh word, let's say tomorrow I want to name everything what is there in the sky. There are millions of stars in the sky. I want to name each of the stars. Now what happened with this 1 lakh? It changed into millions of lakhs. It's always open ended. The vocabulary is not closed. It's always open ended. Right? So we keep adding new words in our language. So, and what happened to sentences? And these words are arranged in some fashion. We are trying to make it as a sentence. Okay, what is the like approximate size of number of sentences in our languages? Millions? Again, it's infinity number. That's because at least words you can count in. With sentence structure, each one of us uses sentence differently. We have a kind of lecture use of language structure. Right? Though the canonically we say that my language has subject, object, verb, SOV kind of structure, but we cannot count how many sentences are there in our languages. Right? So this makes a little more complex. If I don't know how to count how many sentences, many words, how are we going to do the task? Right? So the token, what I mean is what is there in the actual real usage of any data. Okay, you have a corpus. I think you know what is a corpus. It's a textual or a speech. Whatever is being uttered or whatever is in a speech, at least the tokens are, you cannot say that, okay, between these two pauses is a word. Or in written, we can say that in two spaces, something is a word. That particular word meaningful element we call it as tokens. Okay, so let's say if I give a sentence like a rose is a rose is a rose. These are simple lines from around literature. Now you have a rose is a rose is a rose. How many tokens are there? Six. Can I use something to write? Six. Is it follow me from there? In such a way that you will understand. We have three types, but we have 8 tokens. So now the type token ratio tells us how much lexically rich a language is. Now this is not the case across languages. The same concept is may be expressed by 2 words in another language. It may be expressed by 10 words in another language. The same information, the same concept when you are expressing other languages, the tokenization is one of the techniques I think all of us might be knowing. So the token tokens are not the same across languages, right? So that means it tells about something about the language. The language, if the type token ratio is lesser, okay, let's say the type is 8 and also the token is 8, it means they are unique tokens. If it is similar, the language is very rich. Okay, if it is types are lesser, the language is okay, not so rich, but there are like some richness is there. Then definitely types will not be more than tokens, not all of this. Right? So this ratio will help us in identifying the quantification of challenges that are faced in a language. As I told you, some of the language families, they are grouped as a language family mainly because of this type ratios. Indo-Aryan languages, type token ratio is more when you compare it with Dravidian languages. In Dravidian languages, type token ratio is very less. Types ratio, I don't know polygon comparative. Types ratio is very less. That means there are not information within one group. For example, how many of you know Telugu here? All of you? My Telugu is also broken Telugu. You can speak very back to please forgive me. So, for example, when you say Vachadu, Vachindi, Vachadu, everything has different kind of gender, number, person, one. In English, it's like only came. Came does not have any other meaning like I came, she came, he came, they came, you came, kind of thing. But whereas in Telugu, you have all the different chadu, vacharu, vachadu, vachadu, vachindi, vacharu, whatnot. Right? So this is how the types are different in language like Telugu. Whereas in English, it's only name, there's only one type. Whereas we have multiple types here, right? So this is one aspect which used to address when we are working with NLP. That's why the tokenization decides the quality of the study. Have you ever thought about tokenization as an issue? By clear encoding, sentence based. This is no space as in my. So this is the basics of NLP. So that's because every language has different different organization. Okay. So very command here this. Next. Okay. And handling ambiguity is a big challenge. What is ambiguity? The kind of people that ambiguity. Okay. For the sentence. Let's take a sentence. You see, when a language is being analyzed in two different ways, sentence, then try to get two different sense. The semantics that you try to say is not the same. So this is what. Or possibly language. More than too many information that are available in language, it really is. It is a lot future research stuff can bring you these things. Because you can take it as one of the challenge tasks, right? Don't think that I am the especially in the context. You know how much data we require to build an LLM? Any idea? Approximately. Open it, see, data, and all the books, data, and different sources of different language data, all of them must be used. Some trillion and billion GB of, not billion, sorry, some state of it, we are not talking about it when we want the data. So, creativity. Yes. Which is enhanced from last 20 years, CBA in India is last 30, 40 years, CA we are other research cases, especially during World War II. And people want to decode the secret messages from their enemies. They started using this kind of artificial intelligence for encoding and decoding the secret messages. That's where the actual research of information encoding and decoding started. Okay. Then later, governments have started funding, especially US government has started funding some dollars in building Institute Russian funding system. That's the first attempt at digital translation system. Then soon they realized that there is a problem in this kind of model. Those days there is no machine learning. Those days there is no statistical approach. What we have is maintain computing where you can store some data, bag of words, as a data I can retrieve it, can put straightforward mapping between these let's say languages, language one. Then that was the time they realized that it's not that we compute but generate language as human being does. Further, I'll try to give one small story. But how much time I have not? I don't know, right? Because I'm not really into that. So, talking on a lot of stories. This man finally that family was invented. My dream without education. Same this sentence doesn't look like get formed, grammatically accepted, semantically, people say that it's not the set of things, right? It's fine, form. There is a little talk. He usually plays it. It's all fine. Okay. He was playing with his toy, right? And he lost the toy. Then his father was there and Tom started getting bored. Papa, I lost my train. And his father looks around the house. Finally, the second house. He found his train in the field. Okay. Now, is it meaningful again? I talks about train as a toy train. Yes. But can I put the toy train in the train? Okay. Okay, let's from the or Yeah. During the time of business happened in when it was versus India government only there 80s. Okay, people, there is a kind of improvement in the computer processing. Now, computers can process it something. Those things on computers are very computers, storage of information, right? So this makes us different. What's in the research also? Linguistic research in the basics. Okay, those days languages we look at as a kind of number of roots. Okay, my language has this today what it means in this context. So this kind of structure is a big one. And we actually taken over by genetics of that one kind of cluster. Shows that everyone's like everyone produces the language, whatever that you produce, it's a natural. If you violate the rule, doesn't mean that you are violating the language. So when somebody gives lot of rules to you, okay, in your college you have to be at this time, you have to work, this time you have to look, like sit in this class, this many times you have to sit here, put it, like listen to your lecture, this kind of rules what normally makes us. Too many rules are not good. Are you breaking any rules? You are not breaking the rules? You have interesting. Now, as a such paragraph are like those stress. When I first started in your students, when I was like in language, focus, no grammar rules. So yes, any grammar, no, but it's not. Okay, the part is like for you. And that now starting by what's up, humans mind. When you do not science works. So you can say, oh, whatever is my mother, whatever chemical that you speak is not the same chemical but it's a good speak. I hope what the grandparents are speaking, you are not speaking the similar pattern, right? So this is the nature of language. Make sure that don't let we cannot produce anything by use. Yeah. Okay, so that's how the heuristic way of approaching the language fails in discovering inputs. Okay, some basic heuristics are fun. Let's say a machine learning model or machine learning model produces a number wrongly. You want to fix it, not you have to give the right. That's the point. The fixing the good over a period of time will not help us in improving the language. Today we are trying to fix the language. So there is one more concern about sustainable AI. I think you might have heard about it. The sustainable AI is important in this. Whatever model that we use, we should have sustainable effort. Let's say you are building a model and thinking that it works for this. Things. If you got so this kind of awareness, that I quite next now. Yeah. So this is the data source which is coming from common ground, or which is data resource place. You see some of the languages are called as high resource languages in NLP paradigm. High resource in the sense they have a lot of data in the internet to scrap. They have a lot of data in the electronic form. Does it mean that all our languages are low resource? Resource, either we see actually, if you speak, Sanskrit has so much of information, wealthy of information in the form of written text, but still it is a low resource language in learning. Okay. Most of our Indian languages have so much of information, either as an oral culture or a written culture, but none of them are readily available for process. Whereas English is the most commonly used language in the given world. You give me a picture, sir. Any website that you can say in English. Any social media is English. So, in terms of data, so that means they have a habit of writing their own language. They are not difficult teachers, not we kind of teachers and they have their own country accepts information in their own language. Which is not the case in India because we cannot say one language I want to take in definitely not work because every state has its own language. Right? So that's because of the quality and material nature of our languages. It's challenging. And these are the challenges that we face. Okay. And another problem is some of the language families that I have told, Gregorian, Dravidian, Strascian, Development, they all have different kind of nature, different kind of way of producing their words. Maybe some of you want to talk on the issue. Or I think that go kind of Easy is something. How many of you are really good? When it's not clear, then you're say, yeah, yes, something good here. Okay, okay, good. Okay. Some of the language features that I'm going to highlight here is our languages are some of our languages are community languages. We are government voices. I have some company now, it's included in okay. Language can do this. Next one. Next. I'm just saying this is wrong. Okay. కాబట్టి పెట్టమని ఇవ్వదు నచ్చుకొని Spending is like I do not need to convince someone, tell them I say, break something. You see, this one company, it has so much of information, right? So whereas in English, how many tokens are there? Number of tokens. Now the ratio of type token ratio, things are different in these languages. The tokenization is the most important factor here. Okay. This shows that how rich our languages are, especially Dravidian and Tibeto-Burman languages. The picture in their word formation. So much of information that are lying inside the word, not in the sentence or not in the structure. They carry a lot of information within the word. So if these informations are not realized properly, we lose it when we are working it. So the word analysis is the most important factor, which is not done for actually English. They'll just ignore it and they'll go straight away to the conversation. They'll go to participant study. Know about what is participant study? Right, so it's not much. So because if work and information. So they will go for after participant study, they'll go passing, they'll go for make another level of analysis. But in Indian languages, a lot of information are within the word. It's important for us to break up, understand the picture, and try to use it for the mapping in the data switch. Good. So this is called shallow parsing. Okay. So shallow parsing is an initial step in any language processing. So this includes normalization, sentence segmentation, word segmentation, morphological analysis, for speech tagging, and channeling. All these processes are called pre-processing stages in any language model or large language model. Okay, that means we are not taking the raw data, the machine to learn and get it over. We have to learn how to think. Okay, maybe for languages like English, it might not require record for Indian languages. We need to have a processing technique. Otherwise, the information is there in a word, it cannot be captured through any of the models. Okay. I'll explain one by one every single explanation I'm giving here. But if you are very interested, please leave us some time if you like it. We always say that you can talk to our groups. Get some ideas. But talk about it. So you know normalization is all kind of but see, all the experience is free and you are writing your own language. I don't know when you write your own language in your own language. But you always have a computer with the boxes. Especially the boxes. So the series there is something like information. So that you not a computer, you have an information, it's not a somehow. This is not a information, maybe something. But so whatever we last generation that like no confidence. We still have history, but our third generation it's not a big problem. You can write in your mobile, copy paste to your computer, you can send the messages in any languages, still there is no loss of information, right? So this is all because of universal code technique called language encoding. It is not beautiful. Most of the fonts that we have medium comprised fonts. You can get into 16, you can get so I'm not reading the one. So, for example, when we are writing on a script, essentially Indian scripts are something called syllabic script, right? So, primary vowel is different from a secondary vowel, shape wise. In English, it's like syllabic writing. When they say ka, this K, when they say ki, K, but for us, he has a different thing, right? And he is getting around the normal, right? That's because the primary power and secondary power principles are very numbers. And these, whatever we write, is right pronounced, unlike English. They're very K, whatever you my kids still pronounce it as no. I think that is not kind of language production habits. No. So the lot of differences across the languages, and most of the Indian languages have this kind of similarity. And Unicode is one way, like even if you write any computer which has Unicode to validate computers in any computer, you don't spend a lot in areas. It's a big that box problem has already solved. But when you have word, like, I think I could tell something in common. So when somebody with one with different pronunciation combined with another thing. So when you are typing normally what happens in the idea is you have tried a different input grammar. It has to be normalized. Otherwise this value will be carried over for the processing unit. Okay, so similarly spelling normalization. For example, in Telugu, Tavu Vavla, Tara Vavla, you can write it in Tavu. I'm seeing some other things because I didn't have this kind of like again. Okay, I no no. So back to the previous one. Oh, they will it's like next year. Okay. Then what happened to words which are glued together? See, in the earlier case, I have given a sentence like Pagala something, right? But there are words in our languages which are written together but speech in space. For example, the word like Krishna, God, God is not given as a God, should not be extension pronoun. It's very most of the language. This is called Sanskrit. Something of 70 years old days. Something here in what is multiple continuous. So many focus on written continuity, but possibly to be very more great something. This kind of multiple continuous process. Otherwise, as a word, a great picture. దేవుడికి దేవుడికి సర్వైవైతుంది దేవుడికి right I don't know the then there is a lot of actually side of probability the division of one word. Okay, so please equation marker we actually common. So that's why another is the mind different units yeah. This suddenly process. It's not actual process. This screen processing is very much important for other languages. English does not talk about it. So the crafts what it open word have documented. So we can see. So we need to process them identify total properly become total status. Okay, then find out the relation. Similarly, there are lots of examples I have to show how the major categories, minor categories are like those combined together in languages and how we are building a kind of complex way of this looks like a complex for us from the but from the language point of view, it's basically. This is what language said. Aesthetically, it's accepted. Native speaker understanding. But when it comes to NLP, these are the final issues. We face this is not very big processing technique of other languages. So it's important for us to build this kind of techniques in for Indian languages. Okay. Let's oh, and another task is another pre-processing task is morphological analysis. So the morphological analysis means breaking down the words into pieces, find out all the internal information in the word. Okay. So I'll go with some examples here. So they have both. Maybe for example, we have Vachada. So Achapad. Chap is the root part and Achapad, Achapad. Right? I have seen my friends some Chapad, some friends with Chapinad, some they Chapia, Chapad, Chapinad, Chapad. All these things are acceptable. That's what I understand from you guys speakers of English. So now that now these things are accents. And we what is and who is the one Jesus? This is the singular masculine. Right? Yes. Small information to say small information, but these are very important functional elements that are not within the law. Right? Separate, identify the picture and do the processing. Okay. Otherwise, right over the is a very important factor. Where the frequency is the matter important matter of machine learning, right? The frequency is the neighborhood of the steps. This frequency is not counting the words or totally two different words, for example, char, or different words. So you will not count them as one unit. But when you break it as, let's say, chapat, boncha, let's say, boncha, and boncha, or these two bonchas are same boncha. These checkpoints are same checkpoints. The tokens have similar tags. So this kind of security is required. Okay. So what is happening in the very current LLMs? What they do? Some of you might be going to go down. Rama is one of the language model. By Facebook, large language model. She can download and like some high memory for that. So they have some kind of representation of Indian languages. But what was they doing for the localization? Important factor. They do some kind of splitting of the words into pieces, but not in the meaning split. For example, the chart can say split, ba, chart, food. That is not meaningful split, right? Who is the meaningful information? Ha is the meaningful information, but is the meaningful information. So, these LLMs that are being verified by listeners, when they are identifying this kind of language, this feature, they are not understanding the meaning in us. So, randomly they go for some kind of splitting. This splitting is called as white pair encoding. Talking might be on about it in the organization or the index. But this particular encoding is not a, though it works for 70%, moving from 70 to 71 is not possible to scale out it. You need to understand the linguistic picture of that particular language and splitting it. For example, in the case of like virtue itself, when you want to say wrong, you not say virtue, the negative form, something like chapad, chapad. There is a difference, right? So, lengthening of vowel, you just lower it, chapad is keep on, chapad means it will not go. But in the case of bachad, it will not become bachad. Structurally, it's not moving similarly. Chad becomes rod, right? So, this kind of differences are very much there in our language. Though we say that language is constructed in a logical way, there are a lot of uses present in language. It is not the same. You know that man becomes man, child becomes children, book becomes books, right? Ox becomes oxen. A lot of it is interesting. That's because of historical principle. We are getting together. So similarly in all those languages, this kind of differences in the form is the most important in our language class. So the point is to make. So for that we need to have cognitive analysis. And deep study is another pre-processing technique. It's all pipeline aspect of the organization, Google organization, over organization, field organization, identify the sentence, the sentence organization. For example, when you have sentence like doctor, something, talking, there the thought is not a sentence way. Our thought is a sentence way. In that case, thought is not a sentence way. There are a lot of challenges that you know how to organize the sentences, right? And similarly, both the organization is told chase can be taken as the best example for organization. Where I go to this little but things involves different people that we communicate. That's another challenge. Then identify the internal structure of the whole. Then go for the part of speech tag. So part of speech tagging is a kind of little bit grammar involved there. Identify the part of speech of the particular word. Deep context, that's a good one. Right? So when I give a sentence like girls have broken hearts, in the context of first feeling, have this auxiliary verb represent meaning. Right? That gives you a different sentence. When I say broken is an adjective, it's a meaning. Gives you nuisance. Right? So identifying this kind of grammatical information is all mostly done by part of speech tag. Okay, so for tagging, that's another process. We have to identify the proper accent, which accent we are going to use. Because randomly cannot be very kind of now work kind of way. So we have to identify what kind of accents are required in our other languages. Okay, for example, Indian languages again. You say in academic Velana. I think my term is not that, no, but I try to say in academic Velana, right? This step in English, I didn't there. There in English is an adverb, temporal adverb. Right? But in Indian languages, in academic something like in Padikku and Pudikku. There are also but you are not telling I school is fine, but I not say I will do this. It's not English. Right? So that means these temporal adverbs Indian English is different from the temporal verbs of Indian languages. They are not verbs, they are still verbs because they are able to get the case form. Okay, so this kind of divergence is there across languages. So depending on a particular language that we are working, we have to decide our part of speech. We can still adapt whatever is possible. Either try to get it or get some language family. That's how language family works. Let's say Dravidian language family, we have definitely have a lot of shared features. You know, we have some kind of shared features. So what we have done is, for Indian context, we have built something called BAS, I'm not having a similarly, of Indian standard technique for further speech study. It was being done. So 50 was taking that one. We are doing this like different people from different language family discuss and I identify what kind of further speech but our Indian languages are being constructed. So this taxon is available for open source. Anybody can adopt it for any language for any language that has been that's that. This basic category is what I call Google Stacks and very shallow tax. Okay. So there are taxes which we call as fine kind, and then sometimes we call them post grade. Post grade is very few tax, very sampling tax. For in this taxes for Indian languages we have 25%. And depending on the tax, we have the routing. Some languages tax for different tax. Okay, let's say you are working on identifying the name entities from the compound. So identifying the name entity requires proper noun identification. So you might think the proper noun is all categories. You might not need other categories for the particles or conjunctions. Might not be good. Right? Depending upon our purpose, we need to actually identify taxonomies compatible. Each taxon provides the rich information which is not. So there are many more taxes that are available in the NLP paradigm. So most commonly people go for very celebrated kind of research people because they already think they are studies level, but for Indian languages still this kind of issues are there. So we have to know what is required for our research. Next slide. Okay, and I think I should have given some example what we were studying us. Let me take the same example. Girls have broken hearts. So let's say this is kennel. Kennel means noun. This is a recording form for noun. It accepts harmony including in the capital letters. And this is an auxiliary. And this is a verb. Call it as PM. PM means main verb. And this is a noun. This is one tag. Another tag set that I can use kennel. And this is a main verb. Here, and this is JJ. JJ is the tag used for adjective in most of the POs tagging. And this is NLP, right? So there are two tag sets that are available. So what is this? Given a sentence, it produces the sequence of labels for the sentence. That's the task of what is speech tagging. So this sequence to sequence proper. So we need to model it in a sequence to sequence modeling. Okay? So one of the classical approaches use the hidden Markov model. So hidden Markov model is one of the probabilistic thing which talks about like identifying how many times a particular word occurs with the category called. Let's say broken, how many times broken occurs with the category called EO. And how many times broken occurs with the category called JJ. Identifying the frequency of that particular word. One thing. And VM is followed by NN. And how many times VM is preceded by box. And how many times JJ is preceded by VM. How many times JJ is followed by NN. So the tag, see, and word pattern frequency. Both of them are captured here. And this next diagram can go. So here the two probabilities are being captured. One is transition probability, the one category to another category, and the emission probability. For the given one, how many times the particular word occurs in the structure. So based on this calculation, such a model, given Markov model, produces this sequence. Okay. Next one, the another classical tool says here conditional random fielding. This is also one kind of technique where it just identifies the context there. For example, what in the context in a particular condition, how to identify it can be. Okay. Let me take one more example just to show. Shall we set the context? I didn't talk about so, but I'll find it. So, I can say this is real and this is an image. This is something like pot or this is something like that. I can keep adding different kind of combination. Each of the combination of different meaning. When you say time flies like an arrow, time doesn't know. Flies as a verb, it has a different meaning. And when you say time flies, the type of flies. Like house fly, the time flies, then like an arrow, it has a different meaning. So helps us in examining maybe sentences or words with multiple. So I find out examination process. Especially polysomous. Polysomous words is one word having meaning with different category. For example, the case of bank is not a fixed. Bank as a noun, financial bank. Bank as a noun, it's a river bank. But here, price as a noun, it's from this is I speech kind of date. Yes, and for words in some it's called next. So the techniques like CRF and HMMs are useful where we have to have a training data at least 200K, 2 lakh sentences need to be analyzed, tokenized, analytical. Okay, pure study, analytical, proper pure study by language. So I'll just skip this one chunky because this is also I can skip. There are two, okay, go back to this previous slide. So for tokenization, mostly regular expressions are being used to identify. I hope you know what is regular expressions. Then we'll also use backup words. And these days, the subword identification by parent body or common used. For hospitalizer, finite state transducer is one type of model which is used to identify how to analyze the words in pieces in proper grammatic feature. And pure stacker, and CR, and similarly chunker is nothing but chunker for example, this arrow is 1 unit. In this case, this type price is 1 unit. Identify this noun phrase, verb phrase kind of phrase. So that's chunky. Next, I'll just talk 2 minutes about the modern approaches. So these days, a lot of different approaches, machine learning approaches we use because it's a sequence issue. One of the thing is biotesting and word-based approach. Okay, so I'll not go more deeper because in your course you will learn about what is CNN, RNN, LSTM, LSTM, and other stuff. So I'll just skip some of the slides. Next. This is also I can see. Okay. So when we come back to the multilingual NLP, now each language should be equipped with this kind of class. Yeah, you are not only talking about processing, not getting the actual task. Right? So getting the mission translation or any kind of question answer class organization, any kind of application in law, each is going to be processing again. Every language should be equipped with different activities. One particular analyzer of English is not work for academics. Attention is not work for all. Arithmetic is not work for all. Because every language has its own way of being useful. In shallow party, much important factors for the task. Next, Kavish. Next. This is, and also skip some of the things. Some of the pre-trained multi-level models that are available right now, multi-level models they are. So if it is encoder based, I hope you know encoder. So the feeling that you know that pattern. So for encoder based multi-level pre-trained language model, we have MCOT, which works for one or more languages, which includes Indian languages also. And UBIT, which is designed by Google especially for Indian language context. So works for 70 Indian languages. And in Thinkbot, so type of model which is being released by a group called AI for Border by IIT Madras group. Okay. So an excellent proposal is by Facebook kind of research. These big companies are having this multilingual models right now. And these models approaches GPT, similar to GPT, we have GPT. And encoder is multilingual preparing model, which are mostly used for machine translation kind of tasks. Identify numbot, bot kind of large models that are available in this. And most of major Indian languages which are part of this multilingual models are only these three. But I talked about the number of languages earlier, or more, right? More in number. So right now only Assamese, Bengali, English, Indian English here, Gujarati, Hindi kind of languages are there. Okay. So recently our university also have studied how many Indian languages have these models that we consider have a vocab list. Vocab list is the most important thing in language model. If you are like tokenized data available in this vocab list, what we get, it will work for your language. Okay, so out of which this Falcon or Norma, Mistral, MP, GPT, all these things you have taken and identified how many of these things are there. Only few languages like Hindi are some languages like even in Dravidian languages, we only there to use languages like Marathi, Hindi, Sanskrit, and other languages in these models. Okay, now it's the right time for us to work on these models for multilingual models. Our languages, our guidance is very important. Okay, so that's the research problem that I'm writing in front of us. Now, the challenges are different challenges that we get. One is getting the accuracy, and another is talk about keeping the bias. Bias is a very important social aspect. Because whatever we try to get off, if you are trying to get a bias information, that's what you get. The bias mitigation is another important factor in the NLP. So that has to be taken care. Next, and multi-modality. So, either if you in audio, video, image, or text, your multi-modal NLP should understand that one, try to converse with any other tasks like some transaction or any kind of task. So, that's another research area. Well, not well defined or well researched these days, maybe next few years. That's the trend of research in NLP. You can explore. So this is used in visual question answering, automatic image and video captioning, sentiment analysis in multimedia, and multimedia translation, transcription, and different kind of applications for different people. Healthcare people requires a different application, legal people requires a different application. So this kind of multilingual AI is very helpful for us. Next. I think I will skip this is. Next. Okay. Conclusion. Now, multilingual LLMs are very resource intensive to train and can struggle with languages which are different, which are dissimilar, right? So I told you that similar language families they share a lot of features, whereas the languages are completely language family issues. Okay. So seamless language agnostic approaches. That's what we need. Okay. So those approaches face a lot of challenges because when you train your data on one language, test it with other language, very issue. Recently, I encountered with one guy who works at Chenchu as a language. You know Chenchu? Where it's spoken? Tribal. It's a tribal language spoken in Narmada forest. And those people are still like go to agriculture, they come to the research citizen, something different, they are not in touch with any other mainstream people. The language spoken there is a very rich language, rich flora and fauna information. Right? So they have a different name for different birds. It's black color they have, like that. They have some kind of different color in birds, they have different name. Fish, because they have explored the world in a different way. So their richness in the word and culture and main techniques are not in Telugu. Some of the data that are written in change to all written in Telugu script, because that's a immediately available script, but still Telugu model is not work on this time. Just still we don't have much data for this languages, so that I think this will be a problem if we are looking at this one. So, if a specific language is a priority to benefit knowledge, other languages are mostly recommended pattern. Though multilingual multi-model is very fashionable, let's think about first with the model for communities. Make sure that it goes very well. Many of our companies are started working on it because they have new infrastructure, you have GPUs, they have data, you have ability, but as a researcher, you want to take as a research problem. Like start with the money, then go later for the so so that's the important of requirement in Indian context. That's what I want to talk about. Some of the technical things is what I have already we can go later. Okay, any doubts, any questions? Sorry, we cannot need much time for question answering, but I'm happy if you get some more questions for you.
How lost? How lost into the how you get here?
Okay. So there are many ways of collecting the data. One is open source data. Another is crowdsourced data. But that's what most of the companies do. Otherwise, the data sellers are listing the rate. Companies different because of their different data that are there. So for data, right, we are not getting into, we are only testing LLMs for where we are not going to LLM research. So we have to go on really research our source to collect some data for anything. So we have not got into that, but we need to collect data from different sources, either publish books, and we cannot collect data from social media so much. It is a very biased place. If you collect data from social media, so much of mitigation of this bias has to be done. Okay. So the data collection source is important. So for a particular task, let's say machine translation, we will grab a partner. We can also step. We have more homes on the data, so I think is giving the data set. That much we know. But if it is a bigger kind of thing, plus the level still thinking how to do it, that's a different otherwise available on data.
For this
They're going to different colleges of states of data, different universities. Feel that by different tools looking at. Once this data opens transmitting. It's not open source, it's not like they're not doing more easily the open source data. Because it's a time sensitive and fundamental continuing process. That's why even if they don't know what it gets into the though we call that it's a bit of this is all this information. Nobody opens it because that is there's it's all on the That's a very I agree that message was down to me. Any questions? I chose the students because of the they are costly even as well as family station. So under costly that is I have seen there's already one day that is on our because they and we are also and actually six on my next. It's really a lot. Thank you so much for the wonderful insight session, ma'am. So, often we work on many algorithms in NLP. We often encounter so many challenges when we work with NLP, especially when we deal with multilingual language processing. So, in one session, madam has clearly covered about translation challenges that we face when we go for multi-language translation and all that stuff. When we really cover about sentiment analysis. So, your session was truly informative. Given us good vast knowledge on already problems from challenges and all. So thank you so much for your presence here, ma'am. Thank you so much for all of it. We are expecting more sessions like this in the future as well. But I request HOD Madam Sudhir Madam to honor the guest for the exhibition. I mean, sir, HOD the guest, please. Yeah. For such assistance in learning our good team there. And thank you everyone for biggest us. Thank you. Yeah. So I would like to thank all the students who have come to the session. So I hope the sessions were informative. Don't just stop your NLP journey or whatever you are listening here. Try to try if you have time, you can ask madam questions on your research areas like you want to work on leadership or your projects or developing something in your international school if you are attending any sessions there also. You can ask put your questions to madam. Ask her the suggestions that you need to work on your research topics with research interest that you have understood from all these 6 days today's session on 6 different topics. Okay, so we continue to encourage the students and staff to learn very such wonderful topics from the resource persons as well. Okay, so we have shared the feedbacks for each session for all the 3 days. We request all the students to kindly give the feedback so that we will know how to improve further and that will be really encouraging for the speakers of all the sessions as well. Okay, so very soon we will be sharing you quiz. Don't worry much about that. So 10 questions on all the topics that has covered basics at least, so that we will know to what extent student have understood the content in the sessions. Okay, thank you so much for your patience. I hope
The 3-day HDP was useful for all of you. Thank you so much.
And some interns also.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have another opportunity as all the speakers who have come through all these 6 sessions are working on NLP task. Like you might have observed. Okay, they are open with so many projects and internship offers also for all of you. So madam will give you a brief about what projects are we working on and what kind of opportunities are available for you guys to work with them. So as we had discussion with the speaker in the Radhika madam in the morning, so they're working on Wikipedia updating and all that language thing. So they're open for internship and that will be online for the student during the summer vacation. Okay, we'll share you the details shortly about that. So before I conclude this session, I would like to give ask Parmeshwari madam to give you some insights about the internship and other facilities, other collaborations that we can have with IIIT Hyderabad.
So thank you. Yeah, so we do like treat some of the interns, now and then interns during semester or during summer, continuing retail sessions. So it's a 2 months or 3 months kind of thing. Community cities, luxury environment, technology over there. So we will be selected based on some primary command purpose. It was in the leadership. We will pass and so, if you are analyzed in this, you are we are very friendly. It's a it once one of us you are not job. There are chances in the that's why so this kind of performance is other stuff. They sit when we be like that. When you see that, you can put on the Thank you.
Last but not least, final note, you will see the attendance sheets and you will check for your feedback and then this is also based on these three parameters only certificates will be given for all of you. Okay, so if you have sign on the sheets here, the sheets will be available. Vanna madam, you can read it sometime later then in this coming sign on the attendance sheet, make sure that you fill the Google form. The quiz, you can collect the certificates from Sridhar madam or on Insta. Thank you so much.
Thank you for attending all the sessions. We understand 100%, we understand self-achievement. But at least you will know what is happening inside your family, what kind of interpreting so easily. They are confident, they are showing what work they are trying to stress some opportunities. When opportunity comes, at least we should look for. Instead of searching for an opportunity, somebody is giving that, try to grab it, try to talk to them, try to understand what should learn before actually approaching for an internship. And after going there, they will tell you what you need to do. The sessions are not for making you sit in a closed room. It's not like a punishment or you are escaping some other sessions and sitting here with your friends. These are just to give you an insight on what is happening the outside research area. At least we know that we are very out there. Friend of maybe create a session in related to this particular concepts, right? So try to understand what is happening in law and if you know the for communication. So get some more opportunities, right? So we understand sitting for long sessions, taking complete subjects, understanding that and by asking this kind reading what she has to. They can even I can offer them because those people are experienced and they agree a lot of research. At least one or two things what they have spoken. Ma'am was so beautifully explaining about the conclusion of two words. How do we break so it was wonderful thing. How language, a program is trying to understand very words. And as she told, after doctor we put a dot. Dot we put generally at the end of the sentence. So after doctor also we put Mr. also put a dot. So it should not be understood as sentence completion. So how a translator is trying to break such words. So at least those small things are so aesthetic to listen. So how such beautiful things are happening inside our language translation. Try to make use of these opportunities. Always you will be listening to the lecturers at the same time try to listen to the experts also. Right? Thanks.
Thanks for the patience. And I would like to thank Kumar sir. Is the episode for operation. He is the person who made provided even schedule in taken time to contact all the different persons and make this everything wonderful. Thank you all for your patience. Few of them please come here for conversation. Please highlight and if you are included in front. We will wind up the conversation now. Please come here.
చెప్తే వాళ్ళు అందులో మనం ముందు మనకు సెక్రటరీ so either we coordinate with her and to have that experience. And
Insurance. Yes, setup on the